thinking, punk. Question is, can I get Wolverine before he turns me into shish kebab with those claws? Bob, seeing as how these claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known, and can slice through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter, buddy, you gotta ask yourself, do I feel lucky?
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We are concluding Wolverine Revenge, number 5. Written by Jonathan Hickman and drawn by Greg Capullo with Tim Townsend in the inks. This series has been drawn spectacularly. The story is meh. The whole point of this story is Greg Capullo. So that is why I'm covering it. This is the Red Band edition. And so I've got the covers here. So we'll go through these in just a moment here as we kind of get ready, as I mentioned, to conclude this series with basically Wolverine fighting 2 battles, a short one and a long one. So these are some of the variant covers. All right, so we start out in Russia with Colossus raising his boy here, and Colossus tells him this is how it's supposed to be. And he looks at the land, field and farm as far as the eye can see. You put your hands in the ground, smell how rich the soil is, and know that anything you plant will grow. And then the harvest. Ah, Nikolai. To feed yourself, to provide others, to provide what is actually necessary. That is life as it is meant to be lived. And so they got, I think, wheat here. And Nikolai says, not sure Aunt Yana feels that way, Dad. Of course, the Yana would be Ilyana. And Colossus says, yes, well, your aunt and I disagree on many things, son. Maybe everything except for you. And Nikolai says, I'm not supposed to say anything because she knows you don't like it. But Yana says, you used to be a hero. And Colossus says, I was stronger than most. I suspect one day you will be the same. But I wasn't a hero. I was just a man forced into a situation bigger than myself and forced to do things that I now regret. This life we have now is better than the old one, Nikolai. I'd rather be your father than a hero any day of the week. Now go inside and wash up, and I'll start working on dinner. And he's going inside. You can see Colossus is kind of sad here. And Nikolai goes, hey, Dad, just so you know, you're my hero, as he stands on his grave here. Now, real quick, for those of you that don't know, I do have a playlist. I've got issues 1 through 4 in there. So, an EMP sort of destroyed all technology. It's not how EMPs work, but hey, it's comic books. And the Earth was just never recovered. And so, Colossus became a villain, things like that. So, this story in itself, the story itself is not very good. So the main thing that we're going to constantly, it's kind of a thing. Jonathan Hickman, I think, is just looking for a payday because Jonathan Hickman is an incredible writer. But this thing just wasn't very good. But the star of this series is Greg Capullo, and that's what we're going to enjoy here. So we are now here, and of course, this is Nikolai here. And Sabretooth says, and now Wolverine knows. So he'll be coming here for me. And he breaks this thing here. I think this is one of the cameras or something. And the screen goes blank. And Sabretooth says, won't he be surprised to find you? And so now we get to our credits here. And so it says a few moments later. And so you can see Wolverine cracking his knuckles here, and he calls Sabretooth, Creed, what's it gonna be? I'm coming in there, or you coming out. And so the door opens, the little thing scatters here, and Sabretooth comes out with Nikolai. Happy to, but I ain't coming alone. And he sees the kid and goes, my God, it's like seeing ghosts. You bringing kids into this? And Sabretooth says, can't blame this on me, Runt. You reap what you sow. And Wolverine says, I understand now. You're too broken and beaten to fight your own fights. What a shadow you are, Creed. I've reduced you to nothing. One completely, getting on Sabretooth's last nerve here. So, and Wolverine continues here. I gotta tell you, I honestly don't even remember you as anything other than this. So I guess it was always gonna end this way. Me standing over you and you, my beaten dog. Of course, Sabretooth doesn't like that, and he's like, growls here and says, damn you, Logan, damn you. Do it now, kid. And so they do a fastball special, just like we planned, and boom, he throws him at him, but Sabretooth is missing his arm here. He's actually also missing his legs. And Wolverine, he's just no match for Wolverine here. Wolverine dispatches him really quickly here. And he says, everybody has a plan, Creed. Till they don't. And look at this. Cuts him in half. Beautiful work. Absolutely masterful. And so we've got 4 long panels here. So you can see the blood coming from the claws here, and Wolverine covered in Sabretooth's blood. I thought I would feel different, he says. I thought after all this time that getting my revenge would make me feel better. Complete in some way. And Wolverine continues, but I don't feel nothing but the same anger burning in my heart. So, gosh, the art is just wonderful here. Like a giant wound that won't heal. Maybe you should think about that, Wolverine tells Nikolai. And he says, think about it, as he pulls out something here. Turns out it's a sword. And he says, it's all I think about every single day since you killed my father, who was my friend. Now, for those of you long-time X-Men and New Mutants reader, this is Illyana's old sword that she had in the New Mutants. What was the name of that sword? I wanted to call it Twilight, but that's from Thor, from Walter Simonson's. That was Surtur's sword. I think it's a soul sword. I'm pretty sure it's a soul sword here. So Colossus here, or Colossus Jr. here, says, it's all I think about every single day since you killed my father, who was your friend. But don't lecture me like I'm you, some monster with a sea of bodies left in your wake. I've never killed anyone, but seeing you here finally standing before me, I think I very much have to try. So we're now going to get a final battle here. And so I like this here. Or I have to, or I won't be able to sleep at night. So, and Wolverine says, look at the carcass here. Well, if it matters, I'm sorry about your dad. I do regret it. And Nikolai says, and I do not care. The dialogue isn't very, but this issue, like I said, this series is sort of, this has been what it is. So, the story itself, that's not what, that isn't the draw. That isn't what got people to buy this thing. It was Greg Capullo. So as you look at through the story and you go, the story's not that good, that's okay. the hook is Greg Capullo, which is again why everybody rushed to buy this, why this thing sold out, or at least the first issue did. So it's just was beautifully drawn here. So, all right. So Wolverine says, "All right, sorry, all right then. I can see there's no talking you out of this. How you want to do it?" He asks. And Colossus Jr. says, "Does it matter? This probably ends one way, in violence and pain, and eventually death. And then you'll heal." And so he says, "Yeah, I suppose that's not really fair, is it?" So I like this, the thick brush, very old style here. And Greg Capullo is sort of that bridge between the old 90s, 80s, and 90s style to the new one. Greg Capullo has been around for a bit, and he is masterful. For those of you who saw him or saw his Spawn run, so I bought Spawn through McFarlane because I'm a big McFarlane mark, and then through Capullo. Then I quit buying Spawn, and then I would only get Spawn when Capullo or McFarlane would do covers. But other than that, I don't get Spawn. I could care less about Spawn. If you're a big Spawn guy, that's okay. It's you can like Spawn. I don't. I don't care about it. But I do love me McFarlane, and I do love me Capullo, and I would pour over the art of those books like crazy, examining everything that they would draw because it's just masterful. And I am very inspired by Greg Capullo. So I love his Batman run. I got his Batman run. So anyway, he says here, Forge's neutralizer takes away a mutant power, and then he uses it on himself. There you go. Fair. In memory of your old man. And so Nikolai goes, "Come then, pay for your sins." And so here comes Wolverine here, rushing, jumping, and I love this, and the claws here. So so good. And so Colossus puts the sword down here, and you can see the flame here, and it's creating a circle. And he says, "Pay for them." And Wolverine is surprised here, in a place where such sins belong. Now remember, his aunt is Ilyana Rasputin, so magic of the New Mutants. And Wolverine's like, "What?" And one of the things about this costume, it's sort of a take on his original costume, but the colors of the 80s. So next thing you know, Wolverine falls into limbo, and or apparently hell. So maybe the Soul Sword doesn't take people to limbo anymore; it goes straight to hell here. So, oh no, it is limbo. Goodness gracious. So, and so here we go with all the demons here. "This sword was a gift from my aunt who raised me after you killed my father. It was forged here in this terrible place that I hate almost as much as I hate you. It is fitting," as he jumps in after Wolverine here. And he says, "As you deserve each other." And so Wolverine tries to block the sword here, but continues. We've got ourselves a fight here, a revenge. And Wolverine says, "I still got metal bones, boy." And so he continues here. "So you're going to have to swing harder than that." And Wolverine and Colossus here continue at it. And he surprises Wolverine with his speed here, and he flicks one of these little demons at him here, squirrels. That's awesome. And that hurts Colossus. He says, "It burns." And he says, "We're in hell, pal. Everything burns." And he says, until it doesn't. And he says, how did it come to this, Tovarish? And he says, I don't know, Peter. It just did. And Nikolai hits him here with the back of the sword and then hits him again, and he goes and he falls down, and Wolverine says, well, go on, do it. And so here you can see Nikolai standing over Wolverine, and he's about to hit him with the sword. He says, you're right too, and I deserve it. And Wolverine is hit with the sword here. And look at this. What's the sound of this? Thunk. So that is awesome. And I love the light coming from the eyes here. That is so cool. And little Colossus walks away. And that's how it always ends. Revenge. As Wolverine is still narrating this. So doesn't matter how much you lie to yourself at the start or how noble you think what you're doing is. Do it long enough, let it consume you, and you will always end up in the same spot, in a hell of your own making. And so you can see Colossus Jr. climbing out, and so he turns human and looks down here. With a little grace, a little mercy, some people might get past it, and then the circle is closed. Wolverine is now trapped inside. I hope a clean end will mean that for the kid, but for me, it's just never gonna happen. And so he gets that demon out and pops his claws. Okay, you caught me. I confess. I mess with Forge's neutralizers, so no, I never lost my power. Oh. But hopefully the kid will believe it and move on. Heal in a way that I can't and never will. And so Wolverine sees these demons here, and this guy says, what's this? A fresh soul for the furnace? And Wolverine starts smashing them and goes, I guess you think you're the guy to find out, aren't you? And so Wolverine is now taking on the demons. Revenge led me here, and my nature made sure of it. Down a path I was never getting off of. And we get to the final page here. So we get to the castle. We see Sim here. So I guess I got exactly what I deserved, and the demons are all like afraid here, and Sim is like, and sees the head of this demon here, and Wolverine says, bad news, pal, you're in my seat. So thus endeth the series. Now, if you think the story was hokey and not good, it's okay, I'm with you, but I hope you enjoyed at least looking at the art, because Capullo's art is just absolutely amazing. He's such an incredible penciler, one of the best. So, all right, Wolverine Revenge number 5. Jonathan Hickman wrote this, as I mentioned before. I think, cashed it in, man. I don't think his heart was into it, but that's all right. Greg Capullo drew the hell out of it. So, hope you at least, like I said, hope you at least liked the art. Because, man, was it good. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.